Okay, what we have here today is a 120 whole brisket, Packer brisket. It's just a prime grade whole 120 brisket. We're gonna kind of just run through some do's and don'ts, what parts of the briskets there are, talk about a little pillow, fat, hard fats, some acid wash on the sides. So the brisket is a whole muscle. There's two parts to it. You have a point, it's the big fatty end. There's a striation right here where Mother Nature makes all the white lines for you, where that fat seam is, and there's a flat where your typical sliced brisket and everything comes from. You can start on either side whenever you start trimming these down. I always start with the fat side up for trimming, so you can kind of see everything. Every smoker is different. Every trimmer is different. I always remove this piece. Most of it will always have this little fat piece on. You're not going to want to see white after you cut into it. You're going to want to get down to the red. The object is to make this brisket aerodynamic for any kind of smoker you have. I save this piece always too. You can trim it down, it makes great burger, sausages, anything like that, or you can save it. You can try and make like a little burn-in or something out of it. So there's two kinds of fat you're gonna look for on these briskets. So there's like a hard fat on the outside, and then I'm gonna say it a million times in this video, I call it like a pillowy fat, where you can almost touch it, you can rub your fingers together and it'll melt in your hands. That's the kind of fat we're trying to get down to. Depending on what kind of brisket you have too, you're gonna have a lot of different thicknesses on it. Whenever you start trimming this down, when you start seeing red, you're too deep. You're gonna wanna leave a layer of fat on the whole back side of this to protect the cook. Whether you're cooking fat side up or fat side down, it doesn't matter. You're going to protect your brisket. So the easiest way I'd start is always on the outside edge. It's gonna be your thickest part of your fat. Like I said, we're just gonna try and get down to like that pillowy fat, past the hard fat. You can raise it up. So a little red starts showing up like that. So you just make it a little bit leaner. You can kind of see I call it pillowy. You can kind of rub your finger on it, it'll start melting. Curvatures of briskets and stuff like that, it's hard if you use a shorter knife, like a 6.5 inch knife. You can always roll your briskets in half to make that pop up, or you can trim it down. You're just exposing that layer of fat that's underneath all of this. It almost feel like a skin too on these parts, where you can remove that. Some of that will render down, some of it won't, depending on how long you're cooking for. It's not a silver skin, but it's just like an outer layer of a fat. All right, we'll flip it over. So there's a big chunk of fat right here. It's on the side of all the briskets whenever you get them. I always stick my fingers down on the sides right here. You wanna roll it back a little bit so you can expose it. You're gonna cut down. You might hit a little red, and that's okay, because we're gonna take this side off right here. You're gonna see that seam kind of get exposed. You're gonna hit a certain point, and it'll just fall right off. I always remove all of the fat from the top side to expose the muscle. So you're gonna see red when you start trimming on the inside. This is where that silver skin and everything is, and we'll remove all that. Always try to pay attention to where your pulling hand is. I always have a wet hand, a dirty hand. I always keep a clean hand. Keep a clean hand in your knife hand. Use this hand always, your opposite hand, whatever your non-dominant hand is, to always do the dirty pulling and stuff. But be conscious of where it always is whenever you're trimming, so you don't cut yourself. And so there's an acid wash, air wash. On the outside of these, a dark gray. I always remove them from all my briskets. It's gonna be a dark, sometimes it's almost like a white color. So once you have most of the fat removed, you can start building your, depending on what kind of smokers you're using, you can start building your aerodynamics of it. If your airflow is coming from this side, if you're cooking fat side up, if your airflow is coming from this side, it's going to hit this point side, which most guys cook that towards their airflow. You can start rounding it for better slices at the end. I can kind of show you a little bit before I separate these. So if you're going fat side up, a lot of the guys will round all these off because after a long cook, this is going to fall apart anyways. Make sure you save all this for anything you can cook later, whether hamburgers and sausages or you can get into this point as much as you want too. So there's different styles. There's guys that go in and they remove all this internal fat. I usually stop around this area right here as far as trimming down, but there are methods to where you can remove this if you like less fat in the whole slices of brisket. I've heard it called like a race car. If you want to try and build like a race car out of it, just think aerodynamics. If you're using an offset smoker, you just want to think about airflows coming, hitting this. What's the easiest way that air is going to travel over that brisket? However you put it in the smoker is how it's going to come out. So if you put it in all scraggly, it's going to come out scraggly. So just try and always make it as clean as possible. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to separate these two. So if you wanna just do burn-ins, you wanna do 2 different cooks, or if you wanna do the same style of cooking on your flat or your point, so Mother Nature makes all the marks for you. The white fat will show you where you need to go, just right there. So we're gonna separate these two. This muscle right here on top is laying on top of a muscle where the striations are running this direction. So what I always do is I always find the very, very tip where the red ends and the white begins. You're just gonna start pulling this away from the point. When you're cutting, I'm constantly holding pressure. You're gonna let the brisket, the weight of the point fall down and let it help separate. And I'm gonna pull this at the same time while using my knife. And if you start seeing red, just move your knife a little bit. You're into one a little too much or one or the other. And it'll just keep tapering down, and taper off eventually. You're just gonna have to separate it. There's gonna be a lot of that pillowy fat in there after you separate the two. The goal is to make the flat literally flat. So it lays on your grates, flat, airflow. You can leave all this on there. You can remove it after it's cooked, or you can remove it before it's cooked. I always find it's easier to remove it before cooked instead of on your slicing table, because however you put this in is how it's going to come out. So when your brisket gets done, when you're setting slicing for everybody, you don't want to remove all the fat on the table when you're slicing and stuff like that. You can just remove it right now. So there's a good, just flat, completely trimmed. We're going to use the same rule of thumb on this for a burn in. We're going to take this all the way down to the red meat, right down to the muscle. Just fold it back. Pay attention to see if the red's showing up on the fat. If the red's showing up the fat, just pull your knife up a little bit. I always try and tell people the goal is to take it off all in one piece, so you're not nicking a bunch of it a bunch of times. This is going to be way, way, way more marbled looking, because it is, than the flat itself. And it will cook completely different too. So you can put this in just like that. You have people go in, it'll trim them up. You can trim them up real nice around there. You can try and take more off of that if you want it all one size for more even cooking. There are people that literally separate them and cook them back together like that. You can lay them like that. Guys put bacon fat around them, do all kinds of different stuff. Whatever toots your horn. That's a generic way to trim and separate a whole 120 brisket.